To make a chord, we need to start with a single note that will form the root of the chord. Chords can have different sounds, or rather, qualities, that is determined by how we build them. The four basic chord qualities are major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Let's start with building a major chord. We'll use the pitch E as our root. To make a major chord from this E, we need to add another note that is a major third higher than our E, which is G sharp. We could spell this G sharp as an A flat, and it would sound exactly the same, but when writing chords, it is best to visibly show the third relationship by placing it 3 notes higher on the staff. To complete our major chord, we need one more note that is a perfect fifth higher than our root. A perfect fifth is 7 half steps, therefore the last note we need to add is a B. Chords are named after the root plus their quality, so this chord will be called E major. Now let's make a minor chord. To make an E minor chord, we need to add a note that is a minor third above our root, and another note that is a perfect fifth above our root. A minor third is 3 half steps, which lands us on G. And we know the remaining note is a B because the major chord also contained a perfect fifth. So the only difference between a major chord and a minor chord is the third. Next, to make a diminished chord, we need a root plus a minor third plus a diminished fifth. Our final chord would then be E, G, and B flat. Remember that while B flat can be spelled as A sharp, it is best to visibly show this third relationship between the notes by placing it 3 notes away on the staff. Finally, an augmented chord requires a root, a major third, and an augmented fifth. Therefore, E augmented would be spelled as E, G sharp, and B sharp. Again, while there is no such thing as B sharp because it sounds exactly like C, we cannot write C because we must visibly show the third relationship between G sharp and B sharp. In practice, chords do not always appear in closely spaced textbook examples that are easy to see. Chords are often spread across other instruments, or at least spaced out more than the chords we just created. We are also not restricted to having just one root, 1/3, and 1/5. It's very common to double some of the notes. This chart shows only some of the many possible spellings of an E major chord. A lot of them include compound intervals, like a major tenth instead of a simple major third. Also, E does not need to be the lowest note either. When we have a different note on the bottom, we get a different inversion. So far, we have created root position chords, which is when the root of the chord is the lowest note. If the third is the lowest note, the chord is in first inversion, and if the fifth is the lowest note, the chord is in second inversion. So far, we have only dealt with 3-note chords, which are called triads. There is actually the possibility of adding a 4th note to our chords. In addition to a root, a third, and a fifth, we can add a 7th to any one of the chord qualities that we have discussed. Here is a chart showing our original E major and minor triads, adapted to the many different kinds of 7th chords. A 7th can be added to the diminished and augmented triads as well, but they're a little special and we'll discuss that at a later time. As you can see, there are a few different types of 7th chords, but for now, you only need to learn the major-minor 7th chord, also known as the dominant 7th chord. We can create a dominant 7th chord by taking a major triad and adding an interval of a minor 7th above the root. Additionally, since 7th chords are made up of 4 notes, we have the possibility of another inversion. In addition to root position, first inversion, and second inversion, we now have third inversion, which is where the 7th is the lowest note. That's all for this lesson on chords. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.